I'm reading about the newly discovered sewage violations at Point Reyes National Seashore, and a couple of things are running through my head. One thing is this phrase, stewards of the land, and the other one is how. How do you screw up this badly when you got a warning back in April when a couple of ranches got busted? And here we are in September, and more ranches have been busted. I mean, could you have a more clear indication that these people are accustomed to operating with impunity without accountability? Like, oh, hey, the California Coastal Commission hearing is coming up, and hey, these ranches got busted for their sewage leaks and lack of having tanks or a leach field. Maybe, just maybe, we should tend to our property. Just maybe we should pretend momentarily to be decent tenants, lessees. Because for those of you who have forgotten, these are lessees. These are people who sold their land and now get to lease it back for a joke of a rate. And you, the taxpayers, are fitting the bulk of the bill for their operations. But that's a different topic. Okay, so first it was Mendoza McClelland, which is really the same family, and that's B&L Ranch. And okay, so we've got some great quotes from Jared Mendoza. Let me tell you something. The Mendozas, what a legacy of shit. I mean, I've got so much dirt on these people that it feels like I'm just like kicking a helpless child. Except that they're untouchable, so really I'm not. It hardly matters what I reveal about them. So Jared Mendoza is the most recent to take over B Ranch, and Joylyn McClelland, founder of Mothers Against Motherhood, operates L Ranch, and they both got busted, and they both had some great quotes, but several other ranches got busted as well. Let's take a look at some of these quotes. So Jared Mendoza was asked why he didn't have septic tanks and leach fields already in place. He was happy to say that he was working on correcting the problem. But when asked why this problem existed in the first place, he said, "I will have to get back to you on that. I cannot answer that at this time." No, why would you? You're just the steward of the land. Just like your father and his father before him, a legacy of abusive, manipulative. I'm trying to bite my tongue. My God, the Mendozas are scum. So Joylyn McClelland, oh my God, what a monster she is. She provided an emailed statement saying, "We continue to work with the county and the park on what needs to be done." Well, if that's not a political answer, what the hell? Any explanation on why you, steward of the land, allowed the problem to exist in the first place? And if you look at the state of these leaks, all this sewage, well, this isn't a new thing. Apparently, this has just been par for the course. This is how they operate out there. And with that in mind, let's look at Bill Neiman, operator of the Neiman Ranch. He refers to his sewage leak as no big deal, that it's far from the house and it's in a fenced off area that he doesn't frequent, and it's been there since 1978. Well, okay, shit, it's been there since 1978, people. Why are you worried about it? Hey, why are you holding these stewards of the land accountable? Don't you know they know what they're doing? Don't you know they are the experts on this matter? And by experts, we mean just getting away with murder because they can. But don't forget, they're stewards of the land. Stewards of the land. I want you to ask yourselves why it requires getting called out to do what you should have been doing in the first place. Because a steward of the land doesn't need someone to come along and threaten a spanking in order to not act like a spoiled child that breaks all of its toys. So in come all the excuses, because that's what our society is now, right? As long as you can provide an excuse, then it's okay. And one excuse is that they are lessees. They don't own the land. So why should we do that? Why should we take care of the land and upgrade things and make sure that there aren't sewage leaks if we don't own the land? Well, gee, maybe because you're calling yourself stewards of the land. That's one reason that comes to mind. The other is that it's part of your lease agreement. You don't sign a lease and then whine and say, well, you know what, I don't think it's fair. I'm going to sign this, and the public is going to pay most of the operating expenses for my business, but I'm still not going to do any upgrades or upkeep. I'm a rancher, and I deserve everything. You know, there is the idea of if you don't like the terms of a lease, stop signing it. Stop renewing. If you don't like it, stop renewing. But of course, they're not going to stop renewing because they're living there nearly for free. The only thing they're upset about is when they actually have to take care of the land. These are the people you call stewards. They get upset when they get busted for their violations, and it has been a never-ending flow of violations, seemingly limited only by how many citizens can get out there to see everything that's going on. And I emphasize citizens because the Park Service doesn't find any of these violations. When the Park Service gets exposed by citizens, then they conduct an investigation. Does any punishment take place? No. Instead, the ranchers are rewarded. They are rewarded with having their wish list fulfilled and getting 20-year leases. The ranchers are rewarded with a water quality improvement plan from the Park Service that has no enforcement included in the plan. It says, hey, they should be better, and, we might do some inspections. And what happens if those inspections fail? Nobody knows, because it's not part of the plan. But if we look at history, it doesn't mean anything. It means business as usual. These ranchers are a history in water quality violations. An entire history, a timeline of water quality violations amongst pretty much every other category of violation you can think of. Now, all you pro-ranching people getting butthurt right now, make all the excuses that you want. Make all the excuses that you want, but stop calling these people stewards of the land. It doesn't get to be both. You don't get to be an abusive, spoiled brat that you say, well, they're ranching. They're feeding the American people. Therefore, you should overlook all these things. Okay. If that's the route you want to take, then take that route. But that's not a steward of the land. And the Park Service overseeing this as the land managers, as the lease managers, fail as much as the ranchers themselves because of their relationship. It is an agreement between the two, all overseen by Huffman and Feinstein. It's almost entertaining in a dark way. It's just sad that they simply redirected the human feces to join all of the cattle feces. I mean, when I say a legacy of shit, if there's going to be one thing left behind by these ranchers, it's the effects of all the shit that they produced out there. But in any case, in a few of the cases out there, it turns out that they were redirecting human feces, human waste, to join cattle waste in cattle ponds and things like that. That's really nice. And if there's any consistency in the BS coming from ranching, the greenwashing going on, I'm guessing that the next study being funded by the Cattle Association will be that human feces mixed with cattle feces is good for the environment and better than we ever anticipated. Now, look, I grew up around these people. I grew up in the middle of cattle country listening to this bullshit and trying to believe it myself. And, I mean, they will stand on nothing but the fact that we've been doing it for X amount of time and therefore it's right. And really what that's saying is that they're admitting they've been doing it for a really long time the wrong way, but they're too stubborn to change. Really what they're saying, without meaning to admit it, is that they've been doing it wrong for a really long time, but they're too stubborn for anyone to tell them any different. I'm just saying, get ready. Get ready for the next scientific breakthrough that human feces and cattle feces mixed together in a cattle pond is the next thing that's going to save the planet, right along with carbon farming. Trees, on the other hand, will be revealed as having been bad for the environment, and not only will we be thanking ranchers for dynamiting all the trees that they got rid of in order to clear space for cattle pasture, but the government is going to retroactively pay them for their services. Thank you for getting rid of trees for us. A legacy of shit. And I mean that literally and figuratively, because figuratively, these people are shitty. And literally, the amount of shit out there is mind-boggling, and it's affecting everything. And with that, I'm going to give a teaser to the next post, which will be about Johne's disease, because somebody commented on another video, hey, well, what about the spread of Johne's disease? And I can't tell unless I do investigation on the person whether or not it's an advocate for the wildlife saying, hey, you should have exposed the spread of Johne's disease by the ranchers, or if it's a pro rancher wanting to spread the lies of the ranching community, one of those lies being that elk are responsible for Johne's disease. That it's not even close, but you'll have to watch the next episode for that, or listen to it. I'm tired of video editing. You're just going to have to deal with audio podcasts for a while.